Welcome to today's video. Today we are talking about my top 5 eyeshadow palettes. Okay, so when I was picking these 5 palettes, they had to meet this criteria. It was very plain and simple. It had to be a palette that had everything that you needed. So it had to have a brow highlight, it had to have a transition shade, and it had to have a color or several for your eyelid, and also a color to deepen the outer corner of your eye or to work as eyeliner. So it really had to be everything you needed in one palette. Now that was difficult for me because I have a few palettes right now that I am loving right now, but they were missing one of those, and so I did not include those in my top 5. These top 5 are palettes that I love. For the most part, all of them I've had for quite some time. One of them is more on the new side, and when I say new, I actually purchased this in November, so it's not even that new, but I really put some thought into selecting these 5 palettes. So without any particular order, let's get started. Okay, so the first palette is probably no surprise to you if you've been watching my channel for a while. It is the Sephora I Love palette, and it is in the shade Medium Cool. If I could open this for you, I will show you what that looks like. This is what the palette looks like. As you can see, it has everything that you need. It has a great color for your brow bone. It has a few shimmer shades there on the bottom for your lid, and then it's got a 3 matte shades there that can build from your transition to your outer corner or your liner. This is a great price point. I believe it retails for $14, I think. I know it's under $20. I have this in another shade that's a bit more warm, which I really like too, but I didn't want to include both palettes in this video, so I definitely had to go with a medium cool because that is one that has just been kind of my go-to. It's a great travel palette because it is small and compact and it has everything you need. It's a great everyday palette to wear and just keep it on your vanity, and just, I mean, it's just one of those easy palettes that you can grab. And actually that really goes for all of the palettes here. There's one more that's good for travel because of the size. The other 3 are a bit larger for travel, but as far as just being great everyday palettes, they're all gonna fall into that category, so I'll try not to be too repetitive about it. But this is what the palette looks like. I'll give you guys a little bit closer view of it. It's just so beautiful, neutral, easy. It doesn't really take a lot of thought process when you are when you pull this palette out. You can do so much with it with just a small little affordable palette like this. So since we're talking about travel, I'm gonna grab the next one, which definitely falls into that category, very similar to the Sephora. It is the Bare Minerals Gin Nude Palette, and I have the shade, what is this one called? I should know this because it is one of my favorites. It's this one. It's like the rose gold one. Actually, I don't think it's the rose gold one. I think there is one that's actually more rose gold than this. I'm gonna figure out which one it is, and I'll have it linked in the description box and titled for you. But this is what it looks like. It's definitely warmer than the Sephora palette. You see some more like rose gold kind of shimmer shades in the middle. You've got 2 shades at the bottom that work really well as brow highlights, and then you've got your transition shade and your crease or a liner color here. It also is very compact. It's Bare Minerals, so it's going to run you a bit higher than the Sephora, but they're both great. They're about the same size, as you can tell. I really love both of these. There was a time when I could not stop talking about the Gin Nude palette. You guys remember it if you've been watching me since then. This was an obsession, and I'm so glad I filmed this video because it kind of forced me to go through my collection and find these gems that I haven't used in a while. So I'm real excited to play with this again. I remember when I would travel, when I purchased this palette, it was all that I would bring. Okay, so those are the 2 that I think fall best into the travel palette category because of the size. The other 3 palettes that I have are considerably larger in size. The first one is by Essence, and it is the Be Beautiful palette. I got this from Ulta last year, or maybe it was a while back. I love it. It is such a beautiful palette. It has everything you need. It has a brow highlight here. This one here, if you're a little darker, this would work well underneath your brow. The formula of these shadows are so beautiful. They have a great amount of pigment. They blend really easily. The color like scheme here is just so easy and effortless. You don't really have to put a lot of thought. Everything kind of works together. Really phenomenal quality for the price point. This is Essence. I purchased this from Ulta. I want to say it was $9.99, $9.99. I want to say it was around that mark. I can't imagine it was over $14 at all. But I really love, what I love most about this palette is, even though it's a neutral palette, there is just something about these shades that just looks so beautiful. And the formula, it's shimmery, but it's not too foiled. It's like a light sheen. Like if you're someone that stays away from shimmer powder shadows because you feel like they just make texture on the lid look more apparent. These are really nice. You should try these. I would use a fluffier, softer brush to apply it, so it applies it a little bit more softly, but I find these really easy, beautiful shimmer formula to work with, and I really love this palette. Again, this was one of those palettes that when I purchased it, I could not stop talking about it, and I could not put it down, and I'm glad I'm doing this video because it forced me to pull it back out. I also remember getting tons of compliments when I wore this palette, like tons of compliments. Every time I did my eye makeup, I would always get asked, what do you have on your eyes? And it was always this. So the next palette is by Too Faced, and it is the Natural Matte Palette, and this is what the palette looks like. It is all matte shades. I really love the color layout of this palette. You have plenty of options for brow highlight. Any of these will work, and I do think that they did a good job of including a brow highlight for really light skin up to a deeper skin. I think this shade right here would look really beautiful as a brow highlight on deeper skin. You can use this on the lid. All of these colors work really well on the lid or in the outer corner crease. You have a good mix of warm and cool tone in this palette, which is kind of unique. You have these shades here, which definitely lean very warm. And then you have these shades here, which lean a lot more cool. You've got a little bit of like a dusty kind of rose or mauve shade to it. And then you've got like a peanut buttery kind of brick color here. It's a really beautiful palette. And for being mattes, I find them really easy to blend. There's no patchiness. They don't skip at all. They're just kind of like they have like a creamy-like look on the eye. Very pretty. I really like this palette a lot. As far as size, it's a nice size. It's not too big. It does kind of bubble out though, you can see, so it's not nice and flat. It does travel a little odd, but it's a great everyday palette. I love this palette. I think it's a great everyday palette, especially if you love mattes. And the last palette is the newest of the collection. This one I purchased in November of this year. It is the LORAC Luxe Diamond Palette. I hope that you can still get this. I got this from Nordstrom, and last I looked, it was not on their site, but I think I found it on Ulta's website. This is what the palette looks like. It has tons of options for shades. How many shades come in here? It's got 20 shades, and you've got a wide range of options here. It does lean more on the warm side. Like if I have to kind of peg this palette, it definitely would be more warm. You've got a good mix of like shimmer shades, matte shades, and then you've got some shades here. I don't know what the formula is, but they're a lot more glitter. So you've got a good selection. Even though it's a large palette, it's nice and thin, so it actually does travel well. I will take this to travel. And what I like about traveling with a palette this size, it's great for if you're traveling somewhere and you know that you might want a lot of different options for your makeup. Let's say I had a girls' weekend in LA a couple weeks ago, and I knew we would be at a conference one day and then we'd be going out one night, and I didn't want to just have something basic that would kind of limit me a little bit. I wanted to have stuff that was fun in case I felt like doing that. And this is a great palette because it has everything that you need in it. And that wraps up my top 5 in the palette category. I would love to know, what are your top 5 eyeshadow palettes? Please leave them in the comment section below. I think that is like such a fun conversation to have because I love hearing what other people are love, like really truly love. Not just things you kind of like, but if you had to get rid of all of your shadow palettes and only keep 5, what would they be? I would love to know. Let me know down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to filming more top 5 videos. These are so fun to film. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.